Welcome back to Man Down Sports, man. Be sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. As you can see from the thumbnail, John Morant is the topic of discussion, amongst other things. And I waited a couple of days because I didn't want to respond and react knee jerk like a lot of people do. I just wanted to kind of I don't know, man, let it marinate a little bit and just think about it, man. You know, a lot of stuff went through my mind, and I got to figure out what I don't want to say, because I think that's real important. No matter how small or how big your platform is, you know, you don't want to put certain things out there in the atmosphere about people, you know, that might need some help in some type of way. And I think Ja Morant needs some help. I'm gonna talk about what I think is going on. It's definitely something internal. Um, um, and that's the only thing I actually speak on. I'm not gonna say anything else that somebody else might allege or somebody else might have an opinion about it, nothing like that. I'm not gonna speak on his alleged alcohol abuse or anything like that. I'm not gonna speak on any of that, right? I just wanna point out something, man, that's kind of a little bit obvious, man. And I started by saying this. Um, every young man, right? Every young person. Well, I ain't gonna say young person. I just speak for men and boys because I was a boy growing up. We all look to a role model or someone that we want to emulate, and a lot of times that's our dad, right? A lot of times it's gonna be our dad early on, but then when we start picking professions and career fields and things that we want to do as an adult, um, most times our dad is not a person that was um, I guess top of the field in the field that we pick. So you know you want to be a lawyer. You might be looking to someone to emulate that's at the top of that field. It's not a lot of times that's not going to be your dad, right? So unless you're LeBron's son or Michael Jordan's son, and you're trying to come up in the basketball world, you're not going to be looking to your dad on how you want to emulate or how you want to act or um, who in that career field you want to respond to reporters like or how you want to carry yourself and all those things, right? If that makes sense. So the best example I got for that is Kobe Bryant. Even though his dad was a professional athlete overseas and played in the NBA, he chose to emulate the GOAT, Michael Jordan. Kobe Bryant wanted to emulate the GOAT. He talked like him. I mean, if you see him in the press conferences, he responded. His mannerisms like him. He walked like him. He played like him. He even had a relationship with him that he, described as being like his big brother. You know what I mean? So that was who he wanted to emulate and be like. And most times, everybody has somebody. And for Kobe Bryant wanting to emulate Jordan, now we got a lot of people who want to be like Kobe Bryant. You hear people all the time, this playoffs, Devin Booker said, this is for Kobe. I'm doing this for Kobe. DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Kuzma, Kawhi Leonard. So many people in some type of way want to take a piece of Kobe and adopt it to their own persona. For in a lot of ways, no one goes to the extreme like Kobe did. For Michael, influential to Kobe, he was like, I want everything like Mike. I want to be just like Mike with my own spin on it. So you don't see it to that extreme so much, but that's what happens a lot, right? And for this Ja Morant situation, I don't think he has a basketball player in mind when he's thinking about who he wants to emulate. He's very athletic. He's very skilled as a basketball player. He even has a high IQ as a basketball player. He's a good basketball player. I mean, this is what his dad was training him for from the time he became able to walk, I guess, right? So he's good at basketball, but unfortunately, it seems like the person he wants to emulate just so happened to be a rapper, and one rapper in particular, King Von, right? He's got the hair like him, the locks, the dye in his locks in the front, the color, the persona, the platinum chain. He wants to be a shooter like him, and I'm not talking about basketball. It's alleged that King Von, alleged. I keep saying it's alleged that King Von, was known for shooting people, right? He definitely was on trial for it. He definitely was locked up for it. How many people he shot, who knows? But that rumor is out there. You can Google that. But King Von is that street type of dude, and that persona was working for him. Now it seems like Ja Morant wanted to work for him. Now he came from the streets in Chicago, a very famous neighborhood called O Block. All right. We won't get into the weeds of Chicago and O Block, but it's a dangerous place. So he came from a dangerous place. Ja Morant didn't come from a dangerous place. So the dilemma that King Von faced is he came from the streets. He survived the streets. He did what he had to do to survive in the streets. And then he made it big as a rapper and started making a lot of money as a rapper. And his dilemma was, even though he was a rapper on his way to being a millionaire, if not already a millionaire, he had to reach back and continue to be street. And that's what took his life. He kept living that lifestyle. He kept rapping about that lifestyle. And that was the persona that he had. And he ended up losing his life because he wanted to go out there and knock somebody out that he was having beef with, and somebody shot him, right? But that was King Von. Why Ja Morant wants to look like, act like, and carry the persona of this guy, and he's a professional basketball player, is unbeknownst to me, but it appears that that's what's going on. And the crazy thing about it is he hangs with people that probably don't, typically like King Von, but that drill music and that lifestyle and all that persona, that is the image that he is putting on. So you got this guy totally different from King Von. Like I said, King Von grew up in the streets and then made it as a rapper. So for him to be able to separate himself from the street would probably be harder for him to do than it is for Ja Morant to do. Ja Morant didn't come from the streets and then made it as a basketball player. So he didn't even have any connections or ties with that type of lifestyle, but he adopted it. You get what I'm saying? So let's say the streets is a legit connection to King Von, or legit child of King Von, but illegitimate for Ja. He wants to adopt it. He wants to adopt that child. The question is why? Like, why make it as a rapper and then decide, or make it as a basketball player and then decide, you know what? Now let me put on this thug persona. Now and that's how I want to carry myself and represent the NBA and represent the Memphis Grizzlies. That is very weird to me, and I don't understand that, right? So that's one thing I wanted to point out. The second thing I wanted to point out is the connection that he has with his friends that is enabling this personality that he want to put on. And it's like I feel like because a lot of people are saying they're not his real friends. They could very well be his real friends. But as far as them having a connection with him, I don't think they have anything other than that lifestyle that they can relate to, right? Because they're not college educated people. They didn't go to play ball in college. They're not in the league. They probably don't have as much money as him. They're not about to sit down and talk to him about investments or stocks or bonds or anything like that. So in order for what is our connection? It has to be something, and it seems like it's the streets. It seems like it's the street lifestyle. It seems like it's the strip club, the drinking, right? That lifestyle. Okay, we can connect in that way. Every time they get together, they on IG Live, flashing guns and whatnot. You get what I'm saying? Like, so, and I tell you, a person real close to me did some time in prison, came home on parole, and been on parole, you can't do certain things. And there was loved ones. This was the same week he came home. There was some of our family members. The first thing they offered him was illegal substances. And I'm like, why would you even offer that to him if you know he's on parole, right? And I can't question their love for him. I know they love him. They're blood relatives, right? But the connection, what other way are we gonna connect with him? You get what I'm saying? Like, how do we connect with him if we don't connect this way? So some people don't have another bond or any other way to bond with certain people. And I think the friends that's around him know Ja wants to put that image out and portray that. So they go, you know what? We gonna help you portray it because that's the only way we can connect and hang. If I was telling you something else, I mean, because they probably feel like Ja Morant will do this anyway, right? So instead of me telling him the truth and putting a mirror in front of his face and telling him he's not like that and to be different, if I tell him that, that might separate me from him. And I don't want to be separated from him. I want to be around him. He's famous. He got money, and he's my friend. So I don't want to tell him the truth because that's gonna probably end our relationship. So I just enable him. It's like that book, The Emperor's New Clothes, right? If you my age, you probably read it in elementary school. The emperor had a parade coming up real soon where the whole kingdom was gonna be there, and he felt like he needed new clothes for the parade. And he brought in all these designers to say, hey, look, man, who can design the best gown for me to wear? And there was one designer that it was like, this one's invisible, but it's made from the best stuff on earth. So he was like, I like that. And he's out there in the parade butt naked, thinking he got on invisible clothes, but everybody around him was afraid to tell him he was naked. I'm telling you, man, y'all gotta Google that book, man. That book is hilarious, right? The Emperor's New Clothes, and I think that's what John might got around here. People now call him yes men, but I think he got a bunch of guys like that around him. But I say that. So those are the two things I see. I see his friends are a certain way, and I think the persona that he wants to put on is just not good for him, man. I mean, and it's obvious. Look, that's him and King Von side by side right there on the bottom right, and it don't seem like much of a difference. It really seems like a copycat situation. It's obvious, right? I mean, you can't even make a 3-pointer without Ja Morant putting up some type of gun sign and shooting and doing all of this stuff, right? So those are the two connections that jumped out at me. And the last thing I say about this before I move on is there are some people that I'm talking to about this thing, and they're telling me it's not right, and they're bringing up all this stuff about Second Amendment rights, and they're bringing up and right to bear arm, and he didn't break any laws, he didn't do anything illegal. And what about when white guys show their hunting rifles on IG and all that stuff, and you letting them take guns away from black people, and all this stuff, right? I get all that, right? But you can't use that, because if you take the example of a person that's not of color, and they're showing a hunting rifle, or they on IG with 4 minors that they've trained on how to shoot, and they're bearing their arms and stuff like that, it's not the same thing, because what Ja Morant is doing has a direct correlation and a direct connection to gang violence. And the direct correlation to gang violence is, number one, the music he's listening to is drill music. Like, that is a known music style that tells the story of how we kill people in the hood, how we kill black men in the hood, right? So he's listening to NBA Youngboy. It's drill music. Like, it's a style of music that talks about murder, period. And that's something that we don't want in our community. We're trying to get rid of that. We're trying to get that out of our community, right? And here is, we got a guy who didn't grow up in that community, and then who's a millionaire, reaching back to pretend he's from that culture, to glamorize it. So now we got basketball players who, I mean, when you think about it, it was always a separation in the hood from the people who wanted to be athletes and the people who wanted to be in the game. And to be honest with you, if you went the athlete route and you chose to be a square and say, look, I just want to play sports and go to school, it was a respectable thing, and the people in the hood that was gang banging would actually protect you. They would actually see you walk on the block, and they would tell people, leave him alone. He's a hooper, or he played football. Leave him alone. They might even give you a little money to make sure you don't come on the street and smoke and try to sell some dope. You get what I'm saying? So it was a separation from the hood, in the hood, from the people that was in gangs and the people who wanted to be squares and be athletes. Right? It was a separation. Right? For you to for you to make it as a basketball player and then say, you know what, now let me go back and be hood, when you did the opposite to even make it, it makes no sense to me, man. But like I was saying, the correlation with the drill music and Ja Morant, right? So I'm listening to the drill music. I'm listening to NBA YoungBoy. That's already letting me know what I'm listening to and what that music is representing, right? Then I already got the outfit on of a known drill music player, a known drill music rapper, and a known street thug who's alleged to have killed people. I already got his uniform on. I'm wearing his uniform. I have the hair. I have the gold teeth. I have the platinum chain. I have the gang hand signals. I have the gun signals. I have all these things that's letting you know this is what I'm acting like. I'm acting like a gang member. I'm throwing up gang signs. I'm showing you the gun signals, and I'm showing you the actual gun on camera while I'm listening to the drill music. That's a direct connection and correlation to the gang violence that we're trying to get away from, right? So you can't compare that to some person that is hunting for deer and showing his gun on IG. There's no correct connection to that. So I'm not gonna talk to a person and allow them to try to bring this up and say, well, he didn't commit any crime and there's nothing wrong with this. It's a direct connection to the streets, on top of not just him wearing the uniform of a gangster and throwing up the hand signatures of a gangster and acting and looking and talking like a gangster. He's actually acting like it. And this is all alleged as well, but you're showing up to Foot Locker or Foot Action, wherever your mom was at. She calls you and you show up with 8 other dudes ready to fight someone because they had a disagreement with your mom at a Foot Action. And if the disagreement was so egregious and it was something that he can get fired for, all she had to do was go and talk to the manager and say, your employee did X, Y, and Z, and that would have been handled. The fact that she felt like she needed to call you over something that was just words or a disagreement, he didn't threaten her. He didn't put his hands on her. She didn't feel unsafe. She could have just walked out. He was at work at night. He was following her. The fact that over a disagreement, and we don't even know what that disagreement is, the fact that she felt the need to call you and you came up with it with 8 guys ready to fight this dude, to the point where this dude ran in the back, closed the door, locked it, and wouldn't come out. And they said you stayed there for 30 minutes, and then you got into it with the security guard in the parking lot. Just shows me you're a hothead. So what are you trying to portray? What are you acting like? These are not connections you can put on some guy that is abiding by the law and hunting and showing his hunting rifle on IG. You can't make that connection. Chris Broussard made that connection. You cannot do it. It's not even comparable. You can't compare the two. What Ja Morant is doing in his behavior has a direct connection to gang violence. And that's why it's problematic. And that's why the NBA needs to nip it in the bud. And that's why I think suspension should probably be a hefty one. They gave him 8 games before. That was kind of a slap on the wrist. I think this one should be a little bit more than 8 games. I've heard 16. I heard 25. To be honest with you, I would go as heavy as possible on this because if I'm Adam Silver or the Memphis Grizzlies, I care about Ja Morant. And I care about the people who are fans of Ja Morant so much that I think this needs to be a hefty suspension, and I would suspend him indefinitely. Now I know like some of the biggest suspensions we had, people broke the law, people assaulted people, put their hands on people. Like you talking about the Malice in Palace and Steven Jackson. They getting in a fight and all that stuff. They got like 50 plus games. Gilbert Arenas bringing guns on the NBA grounds. That got him a whole year suspension, right? So you probably looking at it like, man, if that's the precedence, what Ja did, he didn't even break no law. So his can't be that heavy, but it can and it should, because I'm trying to prevent something in the future, because his actions, even though they investigated all of these allegations of him smacking the 17-year-old kid, which he's probably gonna lose that lawsuit. The allegations that I just talked about at the foot action, the Memphis Police Department seemed like they swept that one under the rug. So that one didn't get him in trouble. The allegations of him and his friends in the parking lot pointing an infrared beam at the Indiana Pacers player after the game, that was investigated, and I guess the investigation went as far as asking them that they do it. They probably said no, so they didn't get a confession, and then they went to the cameras to see if they can see it on the cameras, and they probably didn't see it on the camera, so they was like, well, we can't substantiate it, right? Just because you can't substantiate it doesn't mean it didn't happen, right? These are multiple allegations, and for some reason it keeps involving Ja Morant and violence and guns, right? Come on, like, use common sense with the allegations, but he keep getting away with it. If I'm the NBA, I see this pattern. I see the behavior. You can't deny the gang signs he's throwing up. You can't deny the persona he's trying to portray. You can't deny those things. It's right there. If I'm the NBA, I go as heavy-handed as possible. I suspend him for the entire year. Or if you don't want to be that harsh and you want to say indefinitely, kind of highlight they did Kyrie indefinitely, and then Ja Morant comes back and really proves that he's changed, because the first time it was just lip service. Yeah, that's not me, I'm changed. And then you come back the same guy, and then 2 months later you do the same thing. So I mean, it's evident you didn't change, right? You know what I mean? Show me you changed. What did Kobe Bryant do when his image was shot because of what happened in Denver, Colorado? He cut his fro off, changed his number from 8 to 24. He was really trying to show, like, he really probably have a really good PR person. We need to show that you're changed for real, because his image was shot. He almost lost everything, right? The charges was dropped. You know, he didn't go nowhere without security anymore. He started bringing his wife and his kids on the road with him. You know what I mean? He wanted to make sure he didn't make the same mistake. You get what I'm saying? Like, he was actually doing things to show, hey, look, man, I'm really not that person, right? I think his security ended up being a female too. You know what I'm saying? So like, those are things you can do. I want to play one thing for you. I want to play Steven Jackson on what he said about Ja Morant, because you remember the first time when Ja Morant made a mistake, Steven Jackson came to defend him. Jalen Rose defended him. I think Jalen Rose said, I am Ja Morant, right? You know, so he came to defend him. Steven Jackson was like, let Ja be Ja, man. Ain't nothing wrong with this. He took the route of the second million, all this crazy stuff. Listen to what he said.
Yeah, nobody can defend him now, bro. You do something dumb like that twice, that's on you.
Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
I don't feel bad for bro no more. He did that to himself. You can't feel bad. You can't feel bad for him. Now, you already know how that go, bro. That's one thing about me, man. I stay out the way. They can say what they want. Vibes out the way. You don't see me at no big events and no shit like that. If it ain't boxing, and I'm working. When I go to boxing, I'm working. I ain't just there. I don't be on the scene. Y'all don't see 5 on the scene. Now, what's speaking that y'all gonna do for me? Do for him? I can't tell him nothing. I never write a check to nobody. I know hood. I know block. But little brother dig his shit. Yeah, I've been sending him and his mama money. That's what real ones do. Sure did. But them dirty niggas out there will never see a dime from me. For the last time, that was a moron move by Ja. Moron move. He got to deal with this one. Ain't nobody coming to defend him this time. I sure ain't. First time, yeah, it's a mistake. Second time, you a moron.
Yeah, he said he was a moron, man. Everybody knows it's dumb, and a lot of people seen how dumb it was the first time, but so many people wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt and come to his defense because they don't like to see council culture come out to a black athlete. We don't like that because it happens so often for no reason, right? But I just want to remind people if you come and defend the correct people, it'll change a lot of that. Like no one came to really defend Kyrie Irving until they took it too far. But Kyrie Irving should have been defended from step one. All he did was say, "I'm not taking the facts," but I'm not gonna get into that too much, man. But I mean, speaking of Kyrie Irving, you get dropped by Nike and you replace Kyrie Irving with Ja Morant, and now Nike got to deal with this. And what Nike does as a response will tell us a lot, right? Because what Kyrie did didn't break the law. What Kyrie did wasn't hurting anyone or setting anyone up for some type of hurt, right? And it didn't connect to a culture that is pretty much modern day genocide for black men, right? He didn't do that, right? What he did was tweet out a movie that made you think. Hey, I watched this movie. I learned something from it. Here it is. I tweeted it. As a matter of fact, he didn't even say that. He just tweeted the movie link, right? That was so egregious to Nike and everyone else in the media that he needed to be dropped and chastised and all this other crazy stuff, right? They had him just doing all kinds of crazy stuff, right? Now, well, the vax thing was even lighter than that. I mean, it was just him saying, "I'm not gonna take the vax." So I think people should have been defending him even then, but they didn't. But more people was defending Ja Morant for doing something that is connected to a culture that is killing thousands of black boys every year, right? Especially in particular cities like Chicago and Florida and things of that nature, and Memphis, right? So I think he should have got no defense. I think he should have got the book thrown at him even then, but definitely now. Dino, I see a lot of people relating this to how other post guns and gun ranges or in the middle of a hunt. Yeah. I mentioned that about 5 minutes ago. I said that going hunting for deer and posting a rifle on IG has a connection to deer hunting. But listening to drill music, dressing like your favorite drill rapper, acting like your favorite drill rapper, wearing the uniform of a drill rapper, throwing gang signs up like a drill rapper, and flashing your gun like a drill rapper on social media, that connects directly to drill rap and drill activity and gang activity in black communities. So one of them has a direct correlation and a direct connection to mass murder of black people. The other one has a direct connection to deer hunting. So the comparison should never be made of some law-abiding citizen posting their rifle beside some deer head. That is not the issue we're having with Ja Morant showing his gun. The issue we're having with Ja Morant showing his gun is that it's a direct correlation to gang violence. Now, if Ja Morant went deer hunting and flash and show his rifle while he was hunting deer, do you think anybody have a problem? No, they won't. Nobody will have a problem with it, right? So we make that comparison. We all know that there's a complete polarity view with what he's doing and what others are doing when they're in those ranges and woods. Even for those who want to argue the amendments and laws for license to carry, whatever, when you get your gun license and training portion goes against everything he does in the course. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's wrong, point blank. Yeah, I agree, 100%. All right, man. So let's move to Lakers Nuggets. They play tonight, and I got to make a prediction, right? But I don't know which way I'm gonna go. I will say this though, right? I think the Lakers are the better team, and I think they should win. But so many times, and we've been reminded because I think the Kings were a better team than the Warriors, and the Kings should have won. But in these playoff series, a lot of it like boils down to how they're going to call the game, right? So if you notice, you can't watch a 7-game series and say the referees called the game exactly the same for 7 straight games. It fluctuates, right? One game you're getting a lot of calls, and the next game you're not getting a lot of calls. One game they're allowing max contact, in the next game they're calling more ticky-tack fouls, right? So the question is, what is influencing the changes in how they call it? And what I've noticed this year in the playoffs is that Nikola Jokic, number one, he has never got the type of pressure and physicality in this playoffs that I've seen players like Joel Embiid or Kevin Durant get, right? And either that's because he's been playing against people who can't play like that, like DeAndre Ayton and who they play in the first round, Minnesota, Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert, right? Maybe they can't play like that, or the way they're calling the game, they won't allow you to play that like that. And I'll let you figure that out for yourself by watching the game, but keep your eye on the physicality on Jokic and what they allow and what the whistle, how quick that whistle comes when you're physical with them. Now, there is a blueprint on how to be physical with Jokic, and the Warriors showed that last year when they gentlemen sweep them. Watch how Draymond Green guarded Jokic. So the question that I want to pose to you is, if the Lakers, and I know they are, because LeBron is on that side, and Darvin Ham appears to be a coach that can come up with a game plan and the defensive game plan for players, because they did it for Steph and Clay in the last series. So I'm pretty sure they're paying attention to how they guarded Jokic last year. Do they have a player that can do what Draymond did last year to Jokic? And I think they do. And somebody laughed at me when I said this, but I think Rui Hachimura is a good defender. He's definitely a good shot blocker. He's not horrible on the perimeter either. In the post, he's too small for Jokic, but so is Draymond Green. But that's not going to be the issue. The issue is when he gets the ball, am I going to guard him like Ayton did, arm's length away? Or am I going to do like Draymond Green did and get all the way under him, the way the Boston Celtics did Kevin Durant last year and the way Draymond did Jokic last year? Am I going to get all the way under him and bother him? No one has done that yet. Everyone's been guarding Jokic fair. And you can't do that against a player that's that good. You can't guard him fair. You have to guard him unfair. Take your advantages whenever you can take your advantages. And if you look at how Boston guarded Joel Embiid, they wasn't guarding him saying, we just go guard you fair and square. No, you got to cheat a little bit, not cheat, but just, you got to see how far the referees are going to let you go. How physical are you going to let me get with this guy? Right. And you have to get all the way under him every time he gets the ball. And wherever he's going, you got to be locked in on him, shoulder to shoulder, everywhere. You cannot leave him. He set a screen. I heard Kevin Garnett say today, man, how I would guard Jokic, when Jokic set a screen, I'm going to be so close to him, we both setting the screen together. Right? Give him no airspace, irritate him, agitate him, get physical with him. And then when he's guarding you, as soon as the ball come off the rim, you got to be in a dead sprint to the other side. So what you want Jokic to do is exert so much energy playing against physical defense, shoulder checks, hand checks, pushes. I'm throwing three defenders at him. They're all probably going to get 4 or 5 fouls. You get what I'm saying? Like I'm throwing an agitator at him for a whole quarter, all of that stuff, right? And then on the other end, we sprinting. He's going to have to play so much defense and so much sprint, right? And that's what I'm doing to him. And you might not see the effects of that to game 3, but you will see the effects of it at some point, right? That's what I'm doing to Jokic. That's what I think the Lakers are going to do. They're going to use Rui Hachimura. They're not going to use AD as much as you think, right? However, AD will be the biggest guy on the court, so that means he's going to have to guard AD. So AD will be the one who's doing the sprinting. That's going to cause trouble for Jokic and make him run and run and run and run, right? So AD should be in a dead sprint every single time when in transition, making Jokic run, and then when they don't get their early offense, then AD has to make Jokic work on defense, and we want him to get in foul trouble as well. So we're going at the rim. He's not blocking those shots, so we definitely going at the rim with LeBron, AD, all the guards going at the rim, right? We going at the rim, and then we daring Jokic to either block the shot or give us one of them fouls. You ain't got 6 of them, right? That's what I would be doing from the Lakers. And if the referees don't interfere and getting in the way of that, I think it's going to be a tough series for Jokic, and I think the Lakers will win, right? So that's my prediction. They're in Denver for the first game. I don't think the Lakers will get both games. I do think they get one of them. It may or may not be this game. You know, they came out and jumped and got game 1 against the Warriors. So I know they want to be a little bit stingy and get both of them. But if they don't get this one, they still got one more shot to get it. But it'll be better if they get this one. So they come out with that really good game plan tonight. It might take Denver into next game to adjust to it. So it's a good chance that the Lakers come out and get the win tonight. But we'll see. They're in Denver, and it's high altitude, and LeBron is 38. So we'll definitely see. It's definitely going to depend on who's getting physical with who and what the whistle is doing as far as fouls, right? So that's my thought on it. I think the Lakers will win this series. They should win this series. His toughest opponent this playoffs thus far has been Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert didn't give him nothing, and that's not an easy task either. You can call in, Mo. I'll put the number on the bottom of the screen if you want to call in. Yeah, call in and let me know what you think about Lakers Nuggets. Yeah, but I think that's how it's going to be. Real quick before I move on, Morris, if you go call. My daughter got soccer practice too, and as soon as I get back, I should be able to watch that game. It's gonna be real interesting. I'm definitely gonna be watching the officiating for sure. You gotta pay attention to that. And a lot of people, they watching just strictly for the entertainment, and then you got fans that everybody watch the game for different reasons, and I'm definitely watching to see people perform their craft that they worked on. But it's another craft that people worked on, which is called officiating. And I'm, unfortunately, I'm arrested by what they do as well. And I'm definitely watching the refs and seeing how they're calling games, what fouls they're calling, what fouls they're not calling. Remember, you just can't look at the box score and say, "Oh man, they both shot 20 free throws. That's even." You don't look at the total free throws or the total fouls. You got to look at the fouls that weren't called. Because if we're playing one-on-one right now, and I'm playing 100% physical with you, and let's say I fouled you 50 times, legit fouls 50 times, and there's a refereeing our game, and out of the 50 fouls that I committed on you, he called 20 of them, and out of the 20, you shot 10 free throws. Right, because some of the fouls might have not been shooting fouls. So you get 10 free throws out of the 20 fouls that I fouled you, but I fouled you 50 times. And then you're not playing that physical because every time you touch me, there's a foul. So let's say you only fouled me 20 times. I fouled you 50, you fouled me 20. You fouled me 20 times, but I also got 10 free throws out of those 20 fouls. So when you look at it, we both got 10 free throws, but there's a disparity in the percentage of what fouls got called versus what actually was fouls. Because if I call 20 out of 50 fouls versus something smaller than that, then it's a big difference. If you get what I'm saying, like you have to look at it that way. You have to look at the percentages. You have to look at what did get called versus what's actually a foul. And that's not good if I foul you 50 times and they're only calling 20. I foul you 50 times, they call 20, but you foul me 20 times and they call 10. So I'm calling half of the fouls you're committing. Half of them are, the fouls that you're committing, half of them are getting called, but the fouls I'm committing, only like 25% of them are getting called. That's how you gotta look at it. That's how you gotta look at it, man. If I was Denver, I would defend AD with Porter Jr. Interesting. And then who's Jokic? So if I come out with the lineup of AD and LeBron at the 5 and 4, and let's say it's the same starting lineup as game 1 of the Warriors. So Vanderbilt at the 3, and D'Lo at the point, and Reeves at the 2. And Denver comes out with Jokic, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., Caldwell Pope, and Jamal Murray. And you put Porter Jr. on AD, who's Jokic going to guard? Because now you got Porter Jr. on AD in the post, and now Jokic is guarding LeBron? Or is Jokic guarding Austin Reeves? Or is Jokic guarding Vanderbilt? Or is Jokic guarding D'Lo? It's not going to work. It don't matter what. There's nothing Denver can do. They have a mismatch because Jokic can't play defense and he can't block shots. So it doesn't matter what they do. It's going to be a mismatch somewhere. But you don't want to put Jokic on someone other than AD. He has no choice. You can't run from AD. He's got to guard AD because the lineup that the Lakers are going to put out there. Okay, so you saying he's going to guard Vanderbilt because you feel like Vanderbilt is not looking for a shot. Easy fix. Vanderbilt, you don't start. Rui Hachimura start. So is he going to guard Rui? And he's been hot from 3 ever since the playoffs started. So Jokic is going to guard someone who is going to pull him out of the paint to the perimeter. Now you don't even have a 7-footer in the paint. So you really don't have no shot blocker. And then you got AD roaming down there. And the way that Schroeder likes to drive to the paint and the way LeBron likes to drive to the paint, they're going to have a field day. You better hope they don't come out with a game plan of Jokic guarding anybody other than AD. You better hope that they're going to come out with that game plan. And if that's the case, the only way it will work is if they allow Jokic to just 100% foul to even the eyes out. Because if they force Jokic to defend, he should foul out or he should give up a lot of points. If anything happened other than that, that means something else in the equation got changed, and that's going to be the whistle. That's the only thing that's the only way that math works. If Jokic guard anybody, that person should get 30. That's how bad of a defender he is. Whoever Jokic is guarding should get 30. If he's or Jokic should have 5 fouls every time. If that's not happening, that means they're allowing Jokic to guard with his hands, hand check, push, and foul, which they have been doing. Like that, the math don't math. Jokic can't defend or block shots. Someone's getting 30 or Jokic is getting 6 fouls. That's what's going to happen. Or the referees are just going to carry him the whole game like they did in the Phoenix series. And I think that would be the key to Denver winning this series, but I still like the Lakers in 6 or 7. Yeah. The key to the Denver Nuggets winning this series is they're not missing shots. And the Lakers are missing shots. And you know something is going to be very weird if the trend has been that no one shoots more free throws in the league than the Lakers, and definitely in the playoffs nobody shot more free throws than them, and they get to the line. It's going to be very weird if the Lakers are not getting to the line. It's like there's no shot block on Denver, and the Lakers not getting to the line. You know it's going to be something very weird. Keep your eye on that, man. Yeah, but that's a horrible game plan, man. I hate to say it, man. Putting Michael Porter Jr. on AD is already bad because Michael Porter Jr. is not that type of defender to guard AD. Draymond Green couldn't even guard AD. Now you want Michael Porter Jr. to do it? So you want Michael Porter Jr. to do something Draymond Green couldn't do, guard AD, and then you gonna make it even worse by putting Jokic on either Hachimura at the 3 or LeBron at the 4. Or if they don't start Rui Hachimura, who else can they start? It can either be Vanderbilt, it can be Rui, or it can be who else they've been putting in at 3. Well, they run a 3-guard set sometimes. So sometimes they have Schroeder, Reeves, and Lonnie Walker, or D'Lo, Reeves, and Lonnie Walker on the floor. Sometimes they throw that 3-guard set out there. And that's why I allow him to guard someone whose 30 is only going to come by 1 or 2 games. It just doesn't make sense because mismatches actually create your offense, right? So you come out there and you got set plays and you got sets that you want to run, and then you got a little bit of ISO that you want to do, when you need a bucket, and sometimes you can just throw the ball on the post and get out the way if you got that type of player, right? But for the most part, if you have a mismatch somewhere, that creates your offense because now either that mismatch is going to have to just work and play defense by himself and do the best he can, or you're going to have to bring a double. And when you bring that double, that initiates the first pass. It's going to turn into an open shot, right? Open shots, whoever is getting open shots, the most open shots and the most uncontested shots should win the game, right? So if you're giving me, if you're coming out and saying, all right, here's your mismatch, you don't even have to set no screen to get this mismatch, right? I'm already giving you the mismatch, right? You giving me my offense. I'm attacking your best offensive player on the defensive end, and he might get fouls or he might have to give up easy baskets if he don't want to foul. I'm not going to create the mismatch for you. At least work for the mismatch. You got to do something for the mismatch. I'm just not going to give you the mismatch, and that's what you're saying. I'm going to give you 2 mismatches. You go in the post to AD, is a mismatch on him with a mouse in the house with Michael Porter Jr., who's not a shot blocker, defender, or anything. And then you're going to give him another mismatch with the slowest man on the floor with Jokic and make him guard a perimeter player. Man, too easy, man. Too easy. Draymond was just too small. I mean, but he's a defender and he knows how to defend. That's just like saying Rodman was too small. Draymond just guarded Jokic, and Jokic is bigger than AD in height and size. And Draymond did quite well against Jokic. And the gentleman swept him. It worked. He's at least an elite defender, first team all defense. Multiple defensive players of the year. He's a defender with a big strong body. So yeah, guarding in the post, yeah, I'm taking Draymond over Michael Porter any day. Any day. All right, man. Golden State Warriors, man, really quick. Just real quick. I just want to say this. They got an issue going on right now. They don't know if they're going to bring back Bob Myers. His contract is up. And now their payroll is too much. And the bottom line of it is their owner has to figure out if he wants to pay that luxury tax again this year. And he's already on record, speaking with some of the local radio stations and some of the reporters. He's already on record saying, I don't want to pay $400 million for a team that is not winning it. Or I think his words was for a team that's going home early. And that's kind of exactly what I said. A couple of days ago when I did a video on the Warriors is the salary cap is like 100 million, something like that, like 100, maybe 25 million. Let's say 125 million, right? It might be somewhere around there, mid 100s, right? And this year the Warriors spent 215 on their salary, so they're paying over the salary cap, and when you go over the salary cap, they tax you. So when you look at next year, if you include how much they're paying in salary versus how much they're getting taxed, he'll be paying in the upper 300s for his franchise. So he's going to be paying 200 million more than what the salary cap is because of the luxury taxes. So just imagine that I'm paying a salary that's putting me in the 300s, and then after taxes, I'm in the upper 300s. But we're losing in the second round of the playoffs. They should have lost in the first round. So just imagine that. So for that reason, I don't think this decision should have any emotions tied to it or any basketball sense. This decision on who they're going to trade this summer should be 100% finance and business savvy. I'm only making this decision based on finances and business. I'm not going to get my money back because y'all not winning it no more, right? The only way and the only reason why you would keep Clay and Draymond is because they keep Steph happy, because they all came up together, and because it's just, I don't know, it just looks like you're trying to keep the game together for another run. Well, we all know that run is not coming, right? I would pull the plug on it. I would trade Clay and Draymond. They both are going to be making way too much money, and they both want a contract extension. So next year will be both of their last year on their contract. Draymond has a player option to opt into, and Clay is on the contract for next year. But after that, that's it. So if you don't trade them this summer, you go into next year and you have them, and then they get a chance to walk away in free agency. So they got two options, and both options are getting rid of Clay and Dre. But one option is to get rid of them in the summer, and the other option is, well, let's just bring everybody back, and let's see how far we can get before the trade deadline. And if we're rolling, then we can keep them. If we're doing what we did this year, then I'm trading Dre and Clay ASAP. Right? I think those are the options. I would go with trading them this summer because you have more time to actually build something. You're getting rid of two huge salaries. Right? I think I still got their salaries right here, man. You're getting rid of two huge salaries. Next year, Draymond opted into a 27 mil. Clay is making 43 mil next year. There's no way I want that on my salary cap. If you trade both of them, then you're gonna have Steph making 51. You're gonna have Jordan Poole making 28. I would rather go with that. You got Wiggins making 24. I would go with that. I got three guys making a lot of money, and then I got a whole bunch of vet minimums and rookie contracts. I would go with that. Right? I would not go with the 34-year-old Clay, the 34-year-old Draymond at 43 mil and 27 mil for their last year in their contract, and we're not even the best team in the league. Like, you can't be the highest paid salary in the league and then not be the best team in the league, right? And not competing for championships. There's no way. So I would end it right now, cut my losses now, get rid of Draymond and Clay while they got some value, because when they're 34 and they stink again next year, that trade value gonna be so low for them with that salary cap or that salary that they coming with. It's gonna be very hard to get rid of them. I would do that. The other thing that other people was talking about is you keep Draymond and Clay and you keep them with Steph as long as you can, and you just get rid of the young guys, Jonathan Kuminga and Jordan Poole, which is not going to help you with the salary cap. You still going to be over the cap and paying that luxury tax. So they don't even help you. All that does is get rid of a problem, because Draymond and Poole, they're probably not going to get along ever again, right? So you're just splitting them up, but you're setting yourself for failure in the near future. I wouldn't do that. I know they say, we want loyalty in sports, but I want loyalty, but I don't want owners to be dumb too. I don't want players to be dumb either. Don't cut nobody no slack. Don't get nobody no hometown discount. Get your money and get your paper. But owners, hey, they gotta protect themselves too, man. This would be dumb for them to go into next season with them big salaries on their payroll. There's no way. And last but not least, draft lottery is tonight. The odds, I think Detroit, I think the Charlotte Hornets, a couple of other teams. There's like 4 teams. They got like a 14% chance to get the number 1 pick or to win the lottery. I'm gonna give you my 10-4 hat conspiracy theory, right? So Michael Jordan, probably about 2 months ago, let it leak out that he was talking to people about buying the Charlotte Hornets. He wanted to sell the Charlotte Hornets, right? And when you start to think about it, when he bought the Charlotte Hornets from Bob Johnson just took it to the dump. The Bobcats was a bad franchise. They wasn't making no money. As a matter of fact, I think he lost money every year that he owned the Bobcats. He had to get rid of it, right? And Michael Jordan has turned it into a lucrative business, and it actually helped him become a billionaire. So he's successful financially with running this business, running this franchise. So kudos to Michael Jordan for that. So why would he be wanting to sell it if he's making money from it? Well, here's my theory. I think Michael Jordan don't really want to sell the Hornets. I think that he sees this great talent and Wembanyama and Scoot Anderson coming in, and he is saying these guys are franchise players, right? But every single time there's a can't miss franchise player in the draft, it seemed like even if the Hornets have the best odds to land the number 1 pick, the Hornets don't get nowhere near it. The closest they got was number 2 or 3, which was the year that Anthony Davis was there. But it was only Anthony Davis that was a franchise player. I think they ended up getting Michael Kidd-Gilchrist at number 2. And there was a lot of suspicion behind that draft lottery, because at the same time, that was the same year that the Pelicans, at the time, was at the Hornets, New Orleans Hornets. I think that was the New Orleans Hornets. They tried to trade Chris Paul to the Lakers, and the NBA didn't approve the trade. Now, there's a whole lot of speculation on why they didn't approve. There was some more red tape and, whatever, right? But what I really think happened was, at the time, the New Orleans Hornets did not have a team owner, so the NBA owned the Hornets. The NBA was looking for a buyer. And how do you convince someone to spend $500 million to own a franchise with no franchise player and no way to sell any tickets? So you mean to tell me you want me to buy this team that don't even got a franchise player, that ain't gonna make the playoffs, that ain't gonna win games, that can't sell tickets? So you want me to buy a bucket with a hole in it? So I thought it was in the NBA's best interest to not let that trade go through. But as time went on and people started evaluating Anthony Davis and all the things was coming out, that Anthony Davis was a generational talent, can't miss franchise player, I think the NBA pivoted and was like, you know what? We got a better idea. So they allowed the Clippers to trade for Paul, because they already had their plan B, which was actually better than their plan A. Their plan B was, you know what? We will let the Pelicans win this lottery and get the number 1 pick so they can get Anthony Davis. Boom, there's your franchise player. That's how you're going to sell your tickets, and that's how we go sell this team. So on the day of the draft lottery, the potential owner, who was also the owner of the New Orleans Saints, was at the lottery. The balls went through, boom, boom, boom. Number 1 pick landed to the Pelicans. Not the Pelicans, the New Orleans Hornets. And what did their owner do as soon as he found out he had to pick? On national TV, they was like, and now he's signing the contract to buy the team. It was almost like he was like I ain't signing nothing if we don't get the number one pick. I don't know what he would have done if they hadn't got the number one pick, but I'm pretty sure he already knew they was going to get it. But just in case, he was like, I ain't signing nothing. Like why did they make that deal the day before the lottery? Like why make it so obvious? Do the lottery, they get the number one pick, and then he signed on national TV. He signed the contract to buy the team. I thought that was just majorly suspicious, right? But whatever. That's just how I think, right? Anyway, the Hornets didn't get it, right? The last time the Hornets had chances to get the number one pick, and that was a franchise player, they always miss out on it. It's almost like they don't want the Hornets to have that type of player because the NBA needs them in bigger markets for the health of the NBA. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Charlotte. When we had a good team, we had Ricky Davis, we had Eddie Robinson, we had Baron Davis, we had David Wesley, Paul Silas was our coach. One year we had Glenn Rice. We had a lot of good teams down there in Charlotte, and it didn't matter how good the team was, and they was in the playoffs. They couldn't even sell out tickets for the playoff games. I'd never forget. Baron Davis had the Charlotte Hornets in the playoffs the year before they moved to New Orleans. They had the Charlotte Hornets in the playoffs, and you could get tickets the same day of the game, and they wasn't expensive at all. Nobody was buying them. For a playoff game with a player like Baron Davis in his prime, crazy, right? And it just don't make sense to have a superstar in Charlotte because we haven't proven that we can generate a lot of money in Charlotte. So I think that goes into the account when we start thinking about where players are going to go. So I say all that to say this. Michael Jordan probably knows and understands that, and he sees two players that he would like to have, and he probably know that he not going to get them. So he probably leaked it out there. I'm going to sell this team. And I don't think the NBA wants to be in another situation where we got to find a new team owner, and especially the GOAT being an owner of the Charlotte Hornets. That's just good. That's just good TV. And then on the fact that that's the only black owner that exists. You don't want to lose your minority, right? So they probably was like, all right, might want to sell the team. Look, we got to throw him a bone at some point, right? We got to throw him a bone. And it is my belief, I don't think they would give them the number one pick for them to get Wemby. I think they really want Wemby in a big market. So I don't think Wemby will go to Charlotte. But I do think they'll rig it so the Charlotte Hornets would get the number 2 pick and get Scoot Henderson, which is cool because he might end up turning out even being better than Wemby. Who knows? So I'm cool with that. So watch out for that. You heard it here first. Another couple of things I think is going to come out of this lottery is there's a couple of teams that tank, and then you got the Dallas Mavericks who actually missed the playoffs on purpose so they can get a chance at their lottery pick. I want to see how Adam Silver will handle that. Is he going to feel bad for them? Well, I know the teams that tank are not going to get rewarded. They're going to try not to reward those teams. But the Mavs on Mark Cuban is so vocal and he likes to call things out. I don't know if Adam Silver will be comfortable enough to actually give him the short end of the stick because he knows he's going to say something, but maybe he is. So even though the Mavs tank so they can not make the playoffs so they can keep their lottery pick, I wonder if they don't even get in the lottery pick because I think it's a top 10 protected pick. So if they end up with the number 11 pick or anything after 11, it goes to New York for the Porzingis trade. So in order for them to keep their draft pick, they have to get 10 or better. If they get anything after 10, it goes to New York. I'm real interested to see how Adam Silver treat. He already fined Mark Cuban for tanking. Is he go punish him again in the lottery and not allow him to even get his top 10 pick and let it go to New York? That's going to be real interesting to watch. So the teams that tank, Mark Cuban that tank, and then Michael Jordan who said he going to sell the team. Let's see how they treat them in this lottery, man. And then y'all come back in the comments and we'll talk about that. Let's see this comment real quick. I think that Porter can guard AD. He won't live in the paint, and I like Porter outside the paint. D good enough to keep AD to 20 to 25 points in the paint. Boy, you done lost your mind. You done lost your mind. They messed by paying Poole too early. No, I don't think they had it. They paid Poole, and the issue was they kept Draymond and Clay. They should have paid Poole and then traded Draymond and Clay, right? If they would have done it, they would have had a better season, right? But they paid Poole and kept the guys that was jealous that he got paid, and they effed the locker room up, and they made life hell for Poole, and it kind of it really backfired on the team. So they didn't manage that well. They didn't manage Dre and Clay well. They didn't manage that crap well. You go pay this guy, you got value in this guy, but you're gonna let them, pretty much mess his head up with whatever mind games they was playing. That's what's going on in that locker room. But yeah, that's all I want to say, man. Hey, watch that draft lottery, watch that game. We'll see everything I talked about with the Lakers and Nuggets. Watch out for those referees and those calls, how they allow them to guard Jokic and how they let Jokic get away with fouls. Let's watch that part of the game, and then let's watch this draft lottery and think about the Mavs and that tanking situation, the other teams that tank, and then the Charlotte Hornets. Think about that in the lottery. All right, man. See y'all next time. Peace.